Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Proofed Cuisine. I'm your host Stephen Paytak, and today we're going to be working on supper. Last time I got you guys ready with a little bit of an appetizer. Now we're going to be getting on to the main event, the entree. So, we're going to be working on pork loin today. We're also going to go ahead and focus on an India Pale Ale. Two-hearted ale. Now don't let the label speak for this beer. It might look dull and boring with a little trout on the front, but it actually is a really good beer. For those of you who like the intense hopsy nature and the balanced malty body of India Pale Ale. Now, Two-Hearted Ale is notable for its grapefruit and pine resin aromas and flavors. When cooking with an IPA, you have to remember when the alcohol cooks out, it is going to be a dry and spicy flavor. So with our spices, we want to go ahead and complement and enhance that spicy flavor. With this here pork, we're going to create here a marinade. Now, this marinade, the strength of which will be determined by the strength of the hops. Because you're only going to be left with that dry spiciness, you're going to be missing one thing: salt. I've got this nice box of kosher salt, which is basically, it is normally to enhance flavors and deter the blood coming out of your meat. Fruit fly. Anyway, our marinade needs to enhance everything that is going to become a little dull by the cooking of the alcohol. First, we have 1.5 tablespoons of oregano, which are going to basically enhance those natural spicy flavors, and they're going to occur when the alcohol cooks out. Next, we have some basil, which are going to add some sweet and peppery flavors. We're going to add about a half a tablespoon of basil. Alright, and then we're going to add about a half a tablespoon of rosemary, which is going to add those minty and those pine aroma flavors. Add about 1 clove of garlic, which are going to basically evenly disperse some heat and also some of the acids that we're going to need to also help break down the proteins. Finally, we're going to add my special ingredient. Now this is absolutely optional. It's a defrosted half of a habanero pepper. The cell walls have been broken down enough that it's going to add a mellow heat. So we're going to go ahead and pick up our pork tenderloin in here, paper towel. So now that we've got our pork tenderloin in there, we're going to go ahead and add our Two-Hearted Ale directly. Seems lost a bottle cap there. Make sure that this is nice and saturated. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use this because I'm going to use this. This sucks. This is supposed to be a knife sharpener, but the damn thing doesn't work. But that's what happens when you get it from the dollar store. I'm going to continue. I want to make sure that this is nice and basted and covers the meat. And then I'll be a little selfish and pour some in my macro stand. And now, we're going to go ahead and first add our oregano, 1.5 tablespoons. Next, our basil, half tablespoon. Our rosemary, half tablespoon. And now, by smashing our garlic clove with the knife, don't worry, if you do this the right way, you will not get your hand sliced. You go ahead and get these little guys together and add them in. And finally, the half piece of habanero, which I really don't want to touch that because if I decide to touch anything else, it's going to burn the living hell out of it. Get out some saran wrap to cover this up while it marinades in the fridge. I have thought ahead for you guys, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and switch this out with one I pre-made last night. And look at that. Just like I said, right next to my summer sausage, I've pre-marinated it, and that does look delicious, wouldn't you say? And I'm actually going to do an old sailor's trick. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Alright, now that we've got our pork tenderloin switched over in our marinade, I'm going to add a little bit of a kosher salt to make sure that it gets that natural even coating. Alright guys, now that we've got our kosher salt sprinkled onto our pork tenderloin and that marinade, we're going to go ahead and use a little bit of Goose Island. It's another India Pale Ale, and it's actually got a mellow and citrusy and will complement the natural flavors of the asparagus. And then you pull out another glass of baking dish for this. And there's generally these little woody stalks on asparagus. If you get right down to the last 1.5 to 2 inches of the asparagus, it's just no fun to eat. So we're going to go ahead and break those off. It's a natural process. What we're going to go ahead and do next is actually saturate the asparagus in some Goose Island India Pale Ale. We're going to go ahead and add a little bit of celery salt to the top of this. Just give it an even sprinkle. You don't need to measure it out that much. We've got a couple of really nice dishes here that we're going to go ahead and cook at the same exact time. And with our oven at about 500 degrees, we're going to pop both of these in. We're going to put the pork on the roll rack. Oh man, that's warm. Now we don't want to put them over top of each other because we don't want to obstruct the heat flow. Put them just diagonal of one another. And we'll come back in about 5 to 8 minutes, and we'll come back and check it. If we need to add a little bit more time into it, then we'll go ahead and do that. Alright guys, so as we come back, it actually took another 10 to 15 minutes to go ahead and get the food done. At about 500 degrees, we actually dropped it down to 230 because, well, it just needed some time away, a little farther away from the heat. So we're going to pull this out. Oh, amazing! Nice savory aroma coming off of it. We're actually going to go ahead and give this a little taste test. Give myself a small slab of this guy. Get a few bits of asparagus. Oh, look at that. And as you can see, it is absolutely cooked all the way through. Look at that. Just so absolutely tender. Tender, dry hop flavor with the oregano, the rosemary, and the basil, and the spices. Now, I think it could use a wee bit more salt. And we're going to go ahead and try the asparagus now. That is just a nice, savory Goose Island and Two-Hearted Ale. A smorgasbord culminating orgasm, as we discussed in the appetizer. And I need another beer to go with this. This is just that good. So thank you guys for joining me on Proofed Cuisine, where we put beer in your breakfast, liquor in your lunch, and that's right, spirits in your supper. So you guys, take it easy, have a good one, and remember to join me next time for another episode of Proofed Cuisine.